All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily. How about the month of May? Here we go. May 1st, 2024, Flyers Daily, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers Exit Day interviews continue. In this episode, we're going to hear a conversation with Joel Farabee, who has become a topic of discussion on the social media channels. A guy that had a career high in points, but a lot of people saying that he is a very shoppable or movable piece for the Philadelphia Flyers. He played 82 games this year, set a career high in goals with 22, 28 assists, 50 points on the nose, and he played over 16 minutes a night this season, 16-11. Not as high as minutes total, but his most productive NHL season. A lot of that came in the first two-thirds of the season. Joel really struggled in the second half in two categories, acquiring points and plus-minus. We've kind of broken down his numbers in the past from that first two-thirds of the season to the final third. So didn't finish it strong, but he is a player that is under contract, has, I think, 4 more years on his deal. Yeah, he signed that 6-year, $30 million deal that started in 22-23. This was year 2, and he's got 4 years left at $5 million AAV. No trade protection there for you people that want to put your deals together online and try and figure out where you can move Joel Farabee to. But he is a player that has collected 50 points, has scored over 20 goals in 2 seasons, and in one of those seasons actually scored 20 goals in just 55 games, because that was the 56-game shortened season back a couple of years ago. He's just 24 years of age. He'll be 25 coming up in February 25th of next year. So a player just entering his prime. It's one of those players I always say, you have to be really careful about moving on from a player. I know sometimes when you get in the emotion of disappointment and a season ending, and maybe the way Joel didn't produce in the final third of the season, it's easy to go, well, just get rid of him. Well, you have to be careful, because this is a 24-year-old player that has scored 20 twice, is under contract at a very palatable $5 million number, and a player that has a 50-point season on his record now, even if he didn't like the final third. He's going to go play in the World Championships, too. And I think that that's a pretty important element, and here's why. I think that's important because I think sometimes when a player can go over and play for his country at this point in his career, it can expose him to different voices, different players, different approaches, different preparedness. It can just expose you to a lot. I think it's good for a player in the age range that Joel Farabee's in right now to go over and play in the World Hockey Championship. So best of luck to Joel there. He mentions that in this conversation. But let's continue our Flyers Exit Day interview series with Joel Farabee. We will have a very interesting email that we'll respond to after Joel Farabee, and we'll continue also along with our small businesses and the Flyers hometown assist. But stay tuned, that's on the way. But right now it is Joel Farabee. Here's my conversation from Flyers Exit Day. It is Flyers Daily and Flyers Exit Day. Joining us right now is Flyers forward Joel Farabee. Joel, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, obviously, feeling pretty good, and obviously it's I feel like we had a really good year. Obviously sucks, missing the playoffs, but I think there's a lot of positives to take from this season.
How different is it to conclude this season when you go into game 82 and it's still up for grabs? You're not playing out the string, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's over.
Yeah, it does. I was talking to some of the guys after the game. It doesn't feel like the year's over. I think you look at last year, we were kind of done with probably a month left in the season, so you kind of prepare for the end of the year. But being in it right until basically the last minute of the season it was obviously definitely cool to just play meaningful games the whole year. But it definitely sucks we couldn't get in. But I think it's just a weird time now that all of a sudden it's over. So that part of it sucks, but like I said, I think we have a lot of positives to take from this season.
To go through the full 82 and fall just short, and we know the struggle of the 06 and 2 stretch, but does that drive the desire of the group next year to come back and say, let's not put ourselves even in that position, let's solidify, and so we can play out our last couple of games knowing we're in?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it gives the group a lot of confidence to, see where we got to this year, and heading into next year, I think we have an expectation that we're going to get in, and I think the group feels really confident about where we can go as a team. So like I said, it definitely sucks, but I think it gives us a lot of confidence heading into next year of where we think we can be, and how we need to play. And like you said, if hopefully next year the last 8 games don't really mean anything. We hopefully by then we already know we're in.
Joel, if I'd have told you, post surgery that you had a couple of summers ago, that you'd play the next 164 games, you probably would have said, "No, I don't know about that." But you did. You played all 82 last year. You played all 82 this year. How you feel physically?
Yeah, I feel great.
You surprised by that?
No, I think even before I got hurt, I was one of those guys. I tried to be in the lineup, any chance I could. Obviously, dealt with a few injuries over my career, but even before I turned pro, I prided myself on playing every game. So definitely just feel like myself again. Obviously, had a really good summer with Dan and Derek in the gym, and feel like I got my body in the right spot. So heading into the this past season, I felt like I was probably in the best shape of my life. So hopefully do that, do more of the same this summer, and get my body ready, and hopefully play all 82 next year again.
Are you starting to tweak things? You're 5 years into your career now. You're starting to tweak how you do things to, maybe I don't want to go for as much pure strength as I do explosiveness or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think I've dialed in, some of that stuff. Obviously, Dan and Derek, they make my plan for the summer, so that they're really crucial in a lot of that. But I mean, there's a few things in the gym, obviously, since my neck surgery that I stay away from. And then for me, it's more just trying to put on as much muscle as I can in the summers. Obviously, I'm not the biggest guy, but just trying to put the weight on so that throughout the year when you're losing weight, I can just kind of maintain. So. I feel like I put myself in a really good spot, and obviously my body feels really good right now.
What does Joel Farabee do now to decompress from the season? Because you have to park it. You can go, oh, yeah, it's disappointing, but you got to park it. You guys, I mean, it is emotionally exhausting, mentally, physically, all those things. 82 games is no joke. What do you do to turn the page, unplug, and besides just go to Citizens Bank Park and watch the Phils?
Well, you took the words right out. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, definitely a lot of.
Such a big baseball fan.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Phillies games in my future. Couple ice cold beers, but I think right now just kind of chill out. I think personally I'm gonna go play at the World Championship, so I'll keep
awesome.
Yeah, I'll keep skating and kind of working out here for the next couple weeks before that.
Play for your country. That's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. But I think it's this next week or so. Obviously, maybe golf with the guys. Just kind of spend some time before everyone heads out of town. So I think it's it's a good time just to kick the feet up and relax a little bit.
I think it's so cool that you'll be at a lot of Phillies games, and you play in a city where you really like the baseball team. And look, they're a fun team too, right? So that's an awesome attachment to the city that you have, and you got the New Jersey and the colors on right now for the Phillies. Joel, enjoy the off season, man. I know you guys are chopping at the bit to get to the next level. Hopefully that's next year. But thanks for doing this. Appreciate it as always. 50 points this year, new career high. Best of luck this summer and enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, there he is, Flyers forward Joel Farabee. He is a huge Phillies fan. And as you can see, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see he's got the Phillies. I'm not sure what those jerseys and that color scheme is called, but they just released it. But that's a great place to unwind from a season. Go watch a couple of ball games, have a couple of pops, some hot dogs, pretzels, whatever you do at the ballpark, and enjoy it. We thank Joel Farabee for joining us. We'll see what this offseason has in store for Joel Farabee. He's a guy that I think there will be a lot of chatter about. Whether that chatter leads to a deal, we shall see. If Joel Farabee is included in some kind of hockey trade, we'll see how that plays out. So a lot of the chatter lately also has been obviously because Sean Couturier changed agents and moved over to Pat Brisson. And a lot of people go, well, why would he change agents? The other agent is going to get the retainer, the money on the deal that he signed. He's not going to sign a new deal. He must be trying to shop himself for a trade. Well, I think Sean Couturier, first and foremost, very difficult to trade with 6 years left at 7 and change on his contract, considering he's just has the 1 year since the double back surgery and missing 21 months, and because he didn't put up numbers in the last third of the season as well, like Joel Farabee. That makes it difficult. I thought Couturier's season would be flip-flopped. I thought he'd get off to a slow start and maybe come on towards the end. It was the opposite. He got off to a great start and faded towards the end. We'll see how that plays out. I think it's a really important year coming up for the captain, Sean Couturier. And to speak on that and a couple of other things, I got an email. I'm trying to go through some old emails, and I got this one from Joseph DeAngelis. Joe emails me from time to time, jason.myrtetus, myr@tetus@gmail.com. And it's a lengthy one, but I think it's a worthy one of some discussion before we get to our Flyers hometown assist for this episode. He says, "Hi, Jason. I'm with you. I hate it when the Flyers are out of the playoffs, and I have to look forward to is hoping for a lucky bounce of the ping pong balls. It just sucks." Yeah, I think the ping pong balls are coming up on May 7th. Flyers can move up as high as number 2 in the remodeled lottery system. You can only move up a maximum of 10 places. But he goes on to say, I think about this past season, I seem to focus on the roller coaster ride that I've had with John Tortorella, meaning he's had, with John Tortorella as the coach of this team. He said, when I was hired, I did not like the hire. I felt with Torts, it was all about Torts and didn't want the drama that always seemed to follow him. But as he began coaching the team, he seemed to be a different coach, calmer, more evolved in his thinking of the game. And I must say his pressers are must watch for me. They are very insightful. But as this year went along, I was actually thinking Torts might win the Jack Adams if he was able to coach this team into the playoffs, given the team was picked to be a bottom 10 team in the league and all the drama that surrounded the team this year, like Hart and Cutter Gauthier. He said, but then as this regular season wound down, I started to see the old Torts walking out of post-game pressers, not even showing up for pre-game or post-game pressers, bad-mouthing the team, calling out players publicly, and even benching the captain of the team. He said, for a guy that was teaching accountability and calmness under pressure, he was displaying none of it, in my opinion. But what sealed it for me was his exit day interview when specifically he took on 2 key points that I would like your take on. He said the first one, and this, I don't know if this is an exact quote, but he said, number one, we're going to sit down this offseason and talk about the power play. Well, I think he said a lot more than they're going to sit down and talk about the power play. He recognized fully this power play was hot garbage and that it's unacceptable. But Joe in his email says, really, talk about it. That's your answer? What were you doing all season? Your taxes? The power play was the worst in the league and the worst in franchise history. If the Flyers even had a league average power play, about 18%, they would have made the playoffs easily. Maybe. The power play started out poorly again at the start of the season and actually finished worse. I understand the power play was bad before Torts got here, but he's done nothing to improve it. Now, since Torts likes to say he doesn't coach offense, how does the sword not fall on Rocky Thompson? He said, I like Rocky. I think he's a smart hockey guy. But the bottom line is the Flyers, though lacking elite talent, have more than enough talent to be an average power play in the league. Totally agree with you, Joe. I was super disappointed in hearing apparently no urgency from Torts to address this. It appears the Flyers brass are bringing the players, and maybe they are right, but I didn't hear any accountability from Torts either. To me, Rocky either gets replaced or the Flyers hire a power play coach. Okay, let's take on that one first and foremost. I don't know if you heard the whole press conference. I thought Torts toasted the power play. I don't think he toasted Rocky Thompson, and I think he likes Rocky not only as a person, but as a coach of forwards. And I think Rocky's done a good job coaching the forwards, in particular some of the young guys. But I can't sit here and say that he's done a good job on the power play. Because like you, Joe, I agree. This team is not bereft of talent to warrant a power play that's sub 13% on a season. It's just not. And there was a lot of the strategic elements of the power play that I did not like. There was not enough, wholesale changes. I thought there was some impatience at times when it looked like it was showing like it could break through and then changing the roster or the players utilized on the power play. So I thought the power play was horrific. I think they will bring in somebody, but if you listen to both Torts and Danny, I think it's going to get a huge element, a ton of bandwidth this summer. It needs to be fixed. In today's NHL, you got to be good 5-on-5. Most of the game is played 5-on-5, but you also have to be way better than they've been on the power play. So I didn't think Torts skirted any accountability there. It has to be better. I think there was a little protection of his coach in Rocky Thompson. I don't think he says he doesn't coach offense because Torts does coach offense. This whole year, Torch coached offense from the jump. The way that they went from a team that was a traditional regroup in the D zone or neutral zone and attack to a high-flying, massive high-transition team is coaching offense. So he didn't. I don't think he said he doesn't coach offense. He coaches offense. When you put a system in that is as aggressive on the forecheck, he says it, defensemen surfing forward to create offense, that is coaching offense. So I think he said he didn't do a good enough job coaching the forecheck so that when the transition offense didn't work, they had to be able to rely on that. I think he said that, but I don't think he said he didn't coach offense. Your second point, he said, number 2, I didn't coach 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 enough this season. He said, seriously, it's 23-24. OT has been a part of the regular season in the NHL since 1983. They adopted the 3-on-3 in the 15-16 season. Again, what has Torts been doing all this time? But it wasn't just lack of practicing 3-on-3, in my opinion. It was Torts' overall approach that was greatly flawed. When you have all that open ice, the best defense is a good offense. The best way to combat teams like the Rangers and Toronto OT is to make their stars defend. He said, last year I had to watch Torts roll out 2 defensemen in OT, and this year I had to watch Cates, Paling, or Sanheim start OT and never touch the puck. When you have a team with Tippett, Frost, Drysdale, York, and TK, you play them 3-on-3 as much as possible. Frost in particular was built for the format. You put your fastest and most skilled players out there, throw caution to the wind, and score a goal. That is what 3-on-3 hockey is all about. Again, Torts is completely antiquated in his approach and did not show the accountability I believe he should have. I thought he fell on his sword. I thought that, in particular about 4-on-4, I thought he coached safe in 4-on-4 situations down the stretch. Knowing that his team was struggling to score, he wanted to prevent getting scored on more than he wanted to drive scoring with more ice available. In the 3-on-3, last year, not this past season, the season prior, there were a lot of times when he had 2 defensemen out there. Didn't work particularly well. And I talked about this in the season. I understand the approach. To me, you said that 3-on-3 hockey, you said, you put your fastest, most skilled players out there, throw caution to the wind, and score a goal. That's what 3-on-3 hockey is all about. 3-on-3 hockey, the way to do that is through possession. It's all about possession. Flyers lost 2 games in overtime where they didn't touch the puck. So, to me, it's winning possession and then putting your most skilled players out there. When you lose 2 games and those players never even see the ice, I get the criticism. I do. And it's something that you have to look at. You have to get the guys that are the most dangerous offensive players to be able to win the puck battle of a face-off on a 3-on-3 too. That's an important element of it. You have to be able to draw up, exactly what you want to do. If Morgan Frost wants to push the puck forward, the winger on the right side, if he's lined up on the hash, has got to dart in behind their player. You got to have a plan to go out there to get possession. It's all about possession. So I get putting guys like Paling or Lawton or a more defensive-oriented player out there to start it. When it burns you twice, you can't keep doing it. So you do have to throw those other guys out there. And it is about skill. I totally agree with that. I mean, I look at a player like Cam York, needs to be on the ice as your lone defenseman. Drysdale's another guy that needs to be on the ice as a lone defenseman. I like Sanheim in a 3-on-3. I actually think that he's a good guy to have on a 3-on-3, and I think he's had some success there. But you got to get Tippett. You got to get Frost out there. Absolutely, you have to get those guys on the ice. And TK. I mean, those guys can fly. They can get up and down the ice. And I think those guys are all guys that can play on a drier tank, if you will. They won't die if the shift gets extended too long. I mean, it's a lot of ice to cover. You got to be real prudent about your changes in the 3-on-3 as well. But first, you got to be able to survive long enough to get to a change. So I think that, Joe, I'm just going to be honest with you. I think that you have a predisposed disposition to want to fall out of favor with Torts, and you didn't hear accountability because I don't think you wanted to hear accountability. I heard a good amount of accountability in his postseason press conference. I really did. I think, look, I didn't like the fact that he didn't come out after a couple of games. I didn't like that. But I will tell you that Torts falling into some old habits or the way he was. There are certain things that have not changed about Torts. He knows he can't just demand things with today's players, and you have to explain it to them now. You have to show them video, and they show a ton of video and a ton of teaching in today's game. But I will tell you this, too. Walking out of a press conference early, I don't think that's an issue because he gives the media all the time in the world on those practice days. I think he's learned to maybe not say so much in those situations because it's emotional. Look, every level I've ever played at in hockey and coached at, when I was a coach in hockey, I always had a rule for peewee kids and bantams and high school kids that I had a 24-hour rule. If a parent had an issue with how I played their kid or anything, you had to wait 24 hours to talk to me. One, because you're too emotional, and one, because I was too emotional. You don't want to do it at that time. It's defeats the purpose. When you can remove the emotion, have a rational conversation. I think that's why Torts does that. I think he's evolved in a lot of ways. But I got to tell you, too, like this whole thing about calling players out, like, come on. We got to stop coddling these athletes. They are grown men. They're professionals. They can handle a little criticism, provided that criticism that is recounted in a press conference is not the first time they're hearing it, that they've heard it before from the coach. This whole thing that we got to coddle these athletes and wipe their asses is ridiculous. Look at the teams that have had coaches that done that. They've been teams with expectations. DJ Smith wiped the butts of the Ottawa Senators players for 2.5 years. They went friggin' nowhere. They got tons of talent there. They got more talent than the Flyers. They went nowhere. Buffalo, tons of talent. Don Granato wiped their rear ends for a couple of years. They still haven't made the playoffs. They hired Lindy Ruff to get some hard ass back in there. So stop with I'll tell you, we're getting soft as a society. We think that everybody needs to be coddled, or if there's an argument, it means divorce. It doesn't. That's not the case. Sometimes iron can sharpen iron, even in 2024, if you can believe that. All right. Thanks for your email, Joe. Great stuff. Even though we disagree on a lot of elements, we agree on a lot of elements of your email, but I appreciate the correspondence, and I really like that the stuff that you had to say, and very detailed. You can always send me an email, jason.myrtetus, myrtetus, @gmail.com. All right, let's continue with what's been a really fun program here. We're featuring these over 5 straight Flyers Daily episodes. And what it is it's the Flyers Hometown Assist, which is brought to you by Wells Fargo. And these are local businesses and local business owners who, kind of put their name in, submitted their business to win the Flyers Hometown Assist. And we selected 5 winners. The winners were selected to receive $100,000 in marketing assets to promote their small business as their prize. And they also get to get featured right here on Flyers Daily, which is very cool. And the one we're featuring this time is a company that I think is really interesting because, we just talked about Torts. We talk about culture. And we talk about everybody pulling on the rope in the same direction. Like, that's kind of the cliches of sports. Well, those things matter everywhere else, too. It's why even if you have a kid that plays hockey and he doesn't get to the next level, doesn't play collegiately or doesn't play pro, he can still get a lot out of the game because it can teach you a lot of the things that a company like Cultured Enough can teach you. And they teach you about how to develop your culture and then live by your culture in a positive way that really helps your business grow, helps your employees feel worthy, helps your employees feel like they're making a difference. So to join us on this episode, we are joined right now by Alyssa Vasquez. She's the CEO and president of Cultured Enough, and she joins us right now on Flyers Daily. How you doing, Alyssa? It's another edition of Flyers Daily as we take a look at some great small business owners and small businesses with the Flyers Hometown Assist presented by Wells Fargo. All the winners selected are going to receive a $100,000 marketing assets to promote their small business as their prize. And in this episode, we've got Cultured Enough LLC, and we have got Alyssa Vasquez on with us. And Alyssa, how are you, first of all? How's I guess it's not summer yet, but it sure feels like it.
It sure feels like it. I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. As we
Good.
kind of transition from hockey season to hockey
Yes.
off season, but I digress. Now, you guys are an organizational culture consultants. I've talked about this a ton in regards to hockey, life, and business. That you have to have a good culture because it's impossible
Yes.
to win a war if you're fighting a civil war within. How did you guys
Yes.
start the business?
Of course, yes. I am actually not the founder. The founder is JL Chambers, but I'm the current CEO. And we get to work with companies in Philadelphia to be able to improve their organizational culture within. And that is being able to create a culture that is reflective of their values and their mission, and understanding that we believe that if you have true psychological safety in the workplace, where your leadership is competent, you're able to retain and hire for the future of the organization that you desire to see as well.
The culture and like you used the word mission statement.
Mhm.
Are you shocked to find out sometimes that some businesses that you consult with don't even have a mission statement initially?
Yes, yes. Shocked to hear that they sometimes do not have a vision or mission statement. And then also shocked to hear that when you're entering into an organization, that sometimes there's not alignment at all with the culture that you were promised when you were hired. So there's that disconnect that we try to assess for and then be able to mitigate.
Is one of the things that you guys do is kind of hold a mirror up because sometimes businesses or entities think they have a culture and they use words to describe it, but they're only words. They're not reality. Is part of what you guys do, showing them that, hey, this is what you want it to be, but this is what it is.
Right, correct. So culture is made up of values, norms, and behaviors. And so when you're walking into a culture, there's a disconnect between what I'm seeing on your website, what are your values on your website, but I'm not seeing in that in how we interact with one another. That is what we like to assess. We get like to get into the nitty-gritty of the social interactions that are happening between managers and staff, between staff and staff, to saying that if there's a disconnect, how do we bring alignment internally within the organization? Organizations, especially nonprofits, they do well with external work. They're able to take care of their constituents. They take care of the people that they serve well. Where we're concerned and what we assess is that internal working, that there could be a disconnect as well.
And that creates an efficiency in how you do things. I know you guys have the three pillars that you really focus on: clarity, focus, and alignment. And those are the kind of the way you build that foundation.
Yes, yes, yes. So really being able to get clarity through assessment. So we want to have you have a data-driven decision-making process. It's very hard for you to use anecdotes or what he said or she said, but really being able to say, what does the data say? And so we go in and collect both qualitative and quantitative data through the survey climates and focus groups, getting a pulse on, and this is the scary part, as you can imagine, Jason, is that we're really getting exposure on what our organization truly is behind the veil. And so really being able to get that exposure through the clarity phase, and then focus is really going in and strategic planning. How do we use that data to, and then have a plan so that people can implement what they desire to see? And then alignment, continual alignment with professional development and coaching, and really making sure that the entire level of the organization aligns with the mission and values that you say who you want to be.
Yeah, I know one of your key things too is to emphasize that collaboration, inclusivity, well-being, learning, and proximity to the communities they serve. And you guys aim to make building that culture simple, fun, and relational. And if you can achieve those things, then you're running at peak capacity.
Correct, correct. Yes, yes. So in the organizations that we've worked with, just seeing a 40% of increase of higher psychological safety, where people like to learn, people can challenge, people can contribute and can collaborate. If you're having a culture such as that, that means you're increasing engagement, and you're also saving time and finances on retention. So Jason, I don't know about your team, but how many people have left in the last 5 years? How much money and time that takes to retrain and to have people acclimated into the culture? What if we focus and invest into the culture that we have now? That way we're able to retain for the future and hire for the future as well.
Yeah, and then you don't have those gaps where you have to, go back to square one to train and onboard and all of those things. And
Right.
also you provide that environment of advancement for people so they feel like they're moving in the right direction. As humans, we need to feel that way.
Yes.
Cultured Enough, tell people about the website, what they can get there at culturedenough.com. It's cultured, ENUF.com.
Yes, culturedenough.com. We also have a sister platform called edenough, edenough.com. That's EDENUF. enough. And so there is where you also get to learn and engage, have your managers be developed through an equitable lens, have a culture of belonging, and no one is exempt from this work. Everyone gets to dive in. There's no shame in our game. So really being able to just have an environment of learning is what we wish to do as well.
You guys are obviously a part now of the Flyers and the Hometown Assist presented by Wells Fargo. How did you guys get involved, and how cool is it to be kind of working with, an NHL team and one with the history of the Flyers?
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. I myself am a former ice hockey player. I like to say current. Yes, I played ice hockey. My sister and I, we got to play for the Puerto Rico national team of ice hockey as well. A shout out to Puerto Rico. But yeah, growing up in ice hockey, there's a culture there. I remember going to the locker rooms and being able to be exposed to the wonderful sport that our dad exposed us to. And so I was a goalie, my sister is a forward. And so hockey has its own culture, its own values, its own behaviors. And so even being able to see a shift in the Flyers and just the welcoming that you have, the belonging that you're having. Shout out to Wayne Simmons, who's joining the team. So really
Awesome.
being able to see the shift, it as a Latina and as a woman of color, it feels like more of a belonging that the Flyers has put effort into, and you see a culture shift. Therefore, it's going to be family oriented. No one's going to be exempt from getting on the ice, and I'm excited to be able to be a part of this program.
Holy, you don't know how many points you just scored with me because you were a goalie. As you can see here in the studio, there's goalie masks everywhere.
I see it, yeah.
And 45-year-old, 45, well, I'm 52, 45-year goaltender here as well.
Wow, look, how's those knees? How's those knees working out for you?
That's why I don't play anymore. Knees and hips, bad. But, it's funny because a hockey locker room and a hockey, being part of the game, a lot of people play the game. They don't play it to the professional level, but there's a ton you can get from the game that you 100%. Can take into life, right?
Yes, 100%.
And this sport polices itself with accountability and never lets anybody get too big and all that. And I think it's a microcosm. Like my son played, and I say you gotten everything you were supposed to get out of the game that you can take into life about working with others.
That's right.
You don't have to like everybody, but you have to have their back and have their best interests and never become a person that creates problems, be a problem solver.
Oh, it's such a team. It's such a team. It's such a team game. And we all have to be on one accord when we're out there. A goalie, you could speak from a goalie's perspective. I've gotten so many life lessons from being, the last person standing, if you will.
Last line of defense.
Really,
yep.
That's right. And so really being able to, even in hockey, we have to be proactive about life, proactive about the puck, going after it first, being able to be agile when life hits you hard. And so you learn that on the ice and you learn that off the ice. So I'm just grateful for the culture that the Flyers is setting as well, and changing the game in hockey in general is incredible.
Yeah, the goaltending position too is you are a product of your environment, right?
Yeah.
And as athletes, you want to control, and the goalie position is such a reactive position. So we can't control what happens in front of it, but we can control how we deal with it when it gets to us. As that last line. I love it.
Yes.
Well, congratulations. You guys are, being a part of the Flyers Hometown Assist presented by Wells Fargo. And we're looking forward to working with you guys and the great work that you're doing. And it's just awesome that you played hockey, as a Latino and for the Puerto Rico. And that's awesome. I love to hear that. So, Alyssa, thanks so much for doing this. Best of luck. Again, people can go to the website. Great info there on the website at culturedenough.com. Again, that's culturedenough.com. Alyssa, we thank you for your time. Have a great summer. And we appreciate you doing this.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks to Alyssa Vasquez for taking the time. How about that? She was a goalie. I mean, come on. How awesome is that? Thanks to her, and thanks to Cultured Enough. And we'll feature another small business coming up on Friday's episode when we also feature Ryan Paling. We'll have another edition of the Flyers Hometown Assist presented by Wells Fargo. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you Friday on a brand new Flyers Daily.